Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Megan Crum. I am with the Illinois Student Assistance Commission, and I am one of the facilitators for this evening. I'm joined by a lovely group of people from Aurora University, which is my alma mater. And so I'm going to just share my screen real quick as we get started. For you as attendees that have joined us this evening, so just know that how do you ask questions for Aurora today? So there is a Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. And so you will be able to ask any questions that you like about student life, anything that you wish. And we do have a panel on here for you, so they will be able to answer your questions. Your microphone and video are turned off for today's session, so you will not be able to speak or turn your video on, but know that you will be able to hear and see us. And then you can sign up for more sessions for this virtual college fair, so through IACAC.org, just like how you signed up today. And then lastly, last to know, the recording will be made available. So we are recording today's session. So if you do have to hop off at any time, know that the recording will be available later on the IACAC website. So that's all I have, and I'm going to now pass it off over to Stacy Galanis, and you all have the floor.
Hi everyone, my name is Stacy Galanis and I am the Associate Director of Freshman Enrollment here at Aurora University. I want to show y'all a quick video to kind of get you in the mood of what AU is about, and then we're going to get started with our presentation. Let's see if this will work. 1 second. Awesome. All right.
The second I stepped on campus, I knew it was meant for me. The atmosphere was right, the people, the community, it really drew me in.
The professor to student ratio, I love it. I don't feel as though there's too many people in the classroom. The professors know who I am, they know what sport I play. They see me play, they come to my games, so it's really supportive.
They push you to make sure that you're on the right track, and they make sure that you know what you want to do and you're doing what you love. And especially academics, you're not just a number here. People know you around campus, you build friendships that'll last a lifetime.
My surprise class would definitely have to be philosophy, and it actually is something that can translate into life too, so it actually helped me as far as mentally trying to prepare for classes.
People are in your corner all the time, academically and athletically. Everyone's here to help us as students here on campus. When you go to AU, you are a part of our community.
There's always something to do on campus. Have events on the quad or in the auditorium, whether it's like comedians or hypnotists, things like that. You're always busy, which is probably the best thing that I experienced here.
I decided to move from France to the US 2.5 years ago to pursue my education, but also learn and gain experience from American corporation and international businesses. Something that surprised me about AU is people are really friendly, but they also really focus and dedicated in their studies.
Discover what matters and build your life around it. I think that's really important. I love getting to know more about me and more about Aurora University.
To me, what matters is helping people, seeing them happy, and just making them almost break out of their shell, almost like what I did. Discovering what matters and building my life around it, just helping people figure out who they are and figure out what they want to do later on in life, which I feel like AU definitely helped me out a lot.
All right, so hopefully you enjoyed that video. I think it is a really great representation of what AU is about and our culture and the familial aspect that we have here. You'll get to hear a little bit more about it, not only from myself, but my director who has joined us too, and then a couple of our current students. So let's jump right into our presentation. I'm gonna share my screen. Let me see here.
I gotta say, I just love that video.
I do too.
I absolutely love it. It's a great representation of our students and what really makes Aurora University special. And sorry, I should start off by introducing myself, right? My name is Joel Ortega. I'm the Director of Freshman Enrollment here at Aurora, and Stacy, or Vula as she goes by, and I are going to be doing the presentation for our entire segment today. So we're hoping for a lot of participation from all of you. I see that we do have some participants within our group already, so very excited to see that, and hopefully being able to share how special Aurora University really is for us.
Yeah, and just as a heads up, I'm Stacy. Joel also has the name of Stacy on Zoom, but I am the real Stacy, so
Yes,
just as a heads up. All right, so let me share my screen and get us started here. Okay, So just another reintroduction. This is Joel Ortega. He is our wonderful director of freshman enrollment. And again, I'm Stacy Vula Galanis, and I'm the associate director of freshman enrollment here. Just to give you guys a little bit of fun facts in regards to Joel and I, we are actually graduates of Aurora University. I am a two-time grad, right? I graduated with my bachelor's in English secondary education, and then I graduated with my master's in business administration. Joel is a three-time graduate, and I'll let him tell you about it.
Oh, that's right. Three-time graduate, and all from Aurora as well. I ended up getting my bachelor's here in both marketing and business, so doing a double major, and then later on pursued two master's degrees, one in business administration and operations with business administration with a concentration in operations and technology, and then a second master's degree in digital marketing and analytics. So as you can tell, we both are very passionate about education. It's very transformative, and certainly can make a huge impact within somebody's life.
For sure. So let's go ahead and get started a little bit in regards to, our picture is not loading. That's okay. A little bit in regards to Aurora University. So Joel, do you want to take it away and talk about?
Absolutely. So in terms of our location, for those of you that may not be familiar with Aurora itself, it is the campus has a 37-acre campus. It is just 2 miles west of the downtown Aurora area. We have several students who end up taking the bus downtown or just bike, honestly, because it is so close, and certainly enjoy everything that downtown has to offer. We are just 40 miles west of Chicago itself. So I think that's an especially nice touch for those students that like to have that city feel, and certainly look to have some internships and things like that nature within that space. We do have access to the Metro as well. So if some students are coming from a bit further away, like Chicago, they can take the Metro to downtown Aurora, and then we have a bus that takes them directly to AU. As far as our history goes, we have a rich history. We were founded in 1893 in Mendota, Illinois, but then later on moved in 1912 to our current location of Aurora, Illinois. Aside from that, we have additional locations. It's not just the Aurora campus. We have a campus in George Williams College, which is right by Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And then we also have a different center, which is the Orchard Center, primarily ended up focusing in on some specific majors. And then we also have the Woodstock Center that again focuses on other aspects of majors. So certainly a lot of different locations to choose from.
So what does AU have to offer you? Well, we have an amazing, affordable, private education. We have small class sizes, and we're a small campus. We have around 6,200 students on our campus. That's also including graduate. If you're looking specifically for undergraduate students, it's around 4,000. And we'll get to that in a little bit, but that makes our class size fairly small too. Diversity, we have around 39 states represented. We've had students from Hawaii come to AU. We've had students from Alaska come here as well. We have around 40% of Hispanic population, 10% African American. And the best part, I would say, about Aurora University, I think the reason why I chose Aurora University is because our professors and our staff, they truly, truly get to know you. Again, I was a student here at AU around 5 years ago with my bachelor's, and I struggled in some of my classes, and I was not one, believe it or not, you may think differently, but I was not one to talk. I was not one to voice my thoughts. I was not one to tell people that I would struggle, and my professors were able to pick up on that and helped me get out of my shell and helped me realize that it's okay to say those things. They get to know you, and they really get to help you and sort of dive deeper in assisting you in your goals and your dreams. Our average class size is 25, which really lets you have that one-on-one conversation with your professors and your classmates. You don't feel like you're a number. You don't ever feel like you get lost in the crowd, which is really neat. We have no teacher's assistants. We have sole, truly professors here at our university. 74% of them actually hold the highest degree in their field. So they're kind of smart. They kind of know what they're doing, right? In terms of first-year student services, we have a whole bunch. We have our FYE, which is our first year experience. And that is a program designed for students in their first year that really guides them not only through the transition from high school to college, because let me tell you, that is a transition, right? And we're here to help you. But we also guide you in terms of helping you pick out your classes and connecting you with a staff member here that will sort of guide you on any sort of struggles you may have, right? So I was
Absolutely.
actually one of, oh, sorry.
You know, and I think that's an important point, you know, because so many students believe that they have to have everything complete when they're coming into college, right? You got to know what you're looking to study. You have to know specifically what career you're going to be choosing. And we got to say, a lot of students don't know, you know, they're coming in undecided, and we are really working with them one-on-one to understand what is going to be their best fit, right? That's why, you know, that's why we say discover what matters and build your life around it, because we truly are taking some time to work with you and understand what your vocation is, what you're passionate about. And once we have that understanding, then we decide to choose, you know, which field of study really fits best for you. So if we do have some undecided students out there, you know, don't worry about it. You're perfectly fine. Many students come into AU undecided, and many students decide to change their major later on too. So rest assured, you're not alone.
Yeah, definitely. And then, you know, it's not all about academics. Academics are important, right? It's not all about academics. That's why we have 60 student organizations that you can be a part of. We actually have more than that because you're able to start your own organization. We're very student-centered in that regard. We have a bunch of different athletics that you can go into and join and be a part of. We are a Division III school, and we have over 50 majors and minors that students can explore, like Joel mentioned. So in terms of what makes AU unique, we have so many great fields of studies: athletic training, business, criminal justice, elementary, secondary, special education, nursing, and social work. And one that's actually not on there is one that Joel mentioned, which is undecided. Again, I cannot stress enough how normal, how okay it is for you to come in as undecided. We get it. We expect for you to change your major. I did. I studied education, right? I studied to be an English teacher, and clearly I'm not doing that. And that's okay. We'll help you find your passion, and then we'll help you find the things that you can do with that passion. So don't you worry. Joel, do you want to touch a little bit on retention and +1? I know that's kind of your forte.
Absolutely. So as far as retention goes, the reason as to why we wanted to put this on there is because students that attend Aurora University are very happy with their decision, right? That's why our retention rate is actually 73%, which is well above the national average of 64%. And that is just overall retention. We keep on working on retention numbers year over year, and you know, through the outreach of our faculty and staff, these numbers continue to grow. You know, this past year, we actually were able to have some of the highest retention to date. So closer to around 80% of our students that started in their freshman year retained and continued their education to their sophomore year. So again, something that really speaks to, I think, what makes Aurora University unique. And it's very much the sense of community and everybody rooting for each other and helping each other out. That is one of the reasons as to why we have such high retention numbers. Another area that, as Stacy mentioned, I'm very passionate about is the +1 programs, right? There's so many things that make Aurora University unique, but this is certainly one of the things that stands out the most. So what we've come to see is that many students want to pursue an additional degree after they finish their bachelor's program, right? That was true with both Stacy and I. We both ended up receiving master's degrees, as you know. So what we did find, though, is that many students wanted to do this in a much shorter time frame, and because they want to get into the workforce sooner. And still be much more marketable when they're in that workforce. So it's because of those things that we've developed this +1 program. And essentially what this is you have the ability to receive a master's degree in just 1 year. We continue to develop these programs and hopefully roll some more out. But for the time being, we currently have +1s in business administration, digital marketing, exercise science, criminal justice, and public administration. The programs themselves are very intensive. They're very hands-on, and you end up going to school throughout the entire year, including the summer. That's why we're able to get it done in such a short time frame. But I have to say the results of our +1 programs have been phenomenal. Our students are being placed into jobs right away. And not only that, they're coming out with some very great skills that are transitioning into successful careers. So very, very excited about that. What we also have is the ability for students to double major, right? So when I say double major that means that a student can study 2 different things and still graduate within 4 years. Now that is true for all non-licensing majors. So for instance, we have licensing majors like education that Stacey ended up studying, like nursing, in which those degrees are a bit more difficult for you to double major and still graduate in 4 years because you have to take so many courses that are necessary for licensing purposes. But for most of our majors, let's take into account actuarial science and computer science. Most of these times you are able to study 2 degrees and again, still graduate in 4 years. And the best thing about it is that you do it at no additional cost. Right? So it makes you, again, that much more marketable when you're out in the workforce. So we're very excited and so many students take advantage of this opportunity. And one of the things that I am most proud of about Aurora University is that we do offer an exceptional private education at one of the most affordable costs within the state of Illinois. Not even just within the state, actually nationally, I would say, because we are very mindful about ensuring access to our education. And it is because of that that we keep our price point low. We make sure we award aggressive scholarships, as you're going to see in a bit, because education should be accessible to all. And we certainly try to play our part in that.
For sure. Let's talk about some of the student resources that we have on campus for you. We have our Academic Support Center, and this houses our Disability Resource Office along with tutoring services for students. So if you have a certain disability and you need that special assistance, the Disabilities Resource Office within the Academic Support Center can definitely help. In terms of the tutoring services that we have, we don't like to call them tutoring, but for the purpose of just understanding they are tutoring, right? We really like to call them the extension of the classroom, because the reason why is you're able to go there whether you are struggling with a course and whether you're not. Again, my degree was in English. One who is studying English should probably do well in English, right? And I use the Academic Support Center, those tutoring services, not because I was struggling, but as an extension of my learning, right? I wanted to be better. I wanted to be the best that I could be. And that service is completely free to our students. We have health services, and that houses counseling and psychological services. So students are able to go there for counseling sessions. It also houses our wellness center within it too. So it's sort of our on-campus nurse, on-campus sort of doctor's office, as one might say. That's entirely free for our students as well. Counseling and psychological services, one thing I want to mention in particular, many other schools will charge you or will have a cap on the number of sessions that you're able to participate in. At AU, that's not the case. You can come to as many as you'd like, you can schedule as many as you want, and we will accommodate your needs, which is really great. The Center for Student Success is amazing because they are going to be with you from the moment you set foot here as a student on campus until you graduate. They're the ones that will help you pick out your major, help you understand which classes you should take, why you should take them, how that fits into your career goals, and then career services will help you in terms of internships, resume building, your interview skills, right? So they'll help really prepare you for that next step. The beautiful part about the Center for Student Success, specifically those career services, is that you're able to come back and use them anytime, and they're absolutely free. We really like the word free here, if you haven't noticed. And what's nice again is, let's say, I always use this example, let's say you're 50 years old, right? Down the pipeline, 50 years old, and you want to change of career, you're not sure how to get started, you're able to come back and use them as an alum. Internships, you're able to get an internship starting your spring semester of your freshman year. 75% of those turn into real jobs by the time our kiddos graduate, which is great. Our library, we have amazing resources in there for students, whether it be nursing students, they can use our anatomy corner, right? And you got the life-size skeletons and all that good stuff. We have over 100, a bunch, I would say, different databases that you can go on and research. In terms of faculty and staff and your peers, we're always able to help. I think the video at the beginning definitely showed you how just familial we are, how much of a family we are here on our campus. And I think you'll also be able to see that when you speak to our students too. We really care about you more than just a student, but as an actual human, which is really great. I lost my mouse for a second. So in terms of on-campus residency, we'll touch on this a little bit, and then we really want to get you to talking to some of our students. But we have 6 residence halls that students can live in if you decided that you wanted to do so. Here at AU, we do not require for you to live on campus, right? That's up to you. So you're able to do so, or you don't have to. Kind of whatever floats your boat. All of our residence halls have around-the-clock security, which is great. We have a campus safety department that's sworn police officers that will patrol the campus and the residence halls, making sure that students are safe. And then in terms of the room types that we have singles and doubles and triples and quads that you're able to go into. And if we had more time, I would take you on a tour, a virtual tour, so you could see what they look like, but maybe next time, or you can always explore that on your own. So I think Joel wants to touch on the admission requirements and scholarships. So I'm gonna let him do that.
Absolutely, thank you. So when it comes to our admission requirements, there's essentially 2 different avenues that you can really look into to be considered for admission into Aurora University. We have the traditional sense, in which we base your admission decision off of a standardized test like an SAT or an ACT, as well as your high school transcripts, right? Now, due to the situation that we're in because of COVID, we are fully aware that many testing dates and sites are being canceled. And we want to make sure that we still have an option for our students. We don't want them to be negatively affected. So essentially what we're doing now is we are allowing students to be considered for admission under this test optional guideline, right? Which essentially we base your admission decision solely on your academic merit. So when you're filling out the application itself, you have the option to either being reviewed under the traditional sense or being reviewed as test optional. Luckily the application is completely free, and we are also on what's called a rolling admission. So there's no specific deadline in which you need to meet. I know there's other institutions that have these set deadlines in order for you to be considered for scholarships and things of that nature, but we are not one of those schools. We want to make sure we give you enough time for you to make the right decision for you. We don't want to rush into things. So that's why we are set up in the way that we are. Now, as far as scholarships go, this again speaks to our accessibility across the board. 100% of students admitted into AU do receive merit scholarships, and there's a number of different ranges. They range from $15,000 to $3,000. Now, on average, students receive anywhere between a $12,000 to $14,000 scholarship. So that's typically where most of our students fall in line with. Aside from the merit-based scholarships, there are additional scholarship options that students can apply for. If you are the son or daughter of somebody who attended Aurora University, we also have the AU Legacy Grant, which gives you an additional $1,000. There are music and theater scholarships as well for our students that are interested within those fields. You don't have to major in music or theater, but you solely need to participate within the program. What we do is we have auditions for these scholarships, and we can certainly give you some more information if you're interested in them. And then lastly, we have something that's called the Denham Scholars Program, in which we have a case competition for students to really look into and dive into a specific business case. And once they present their findings with faculty, we are able to award around 3 to 4 $10,000 scholarships that are renewable every year. So a total of $40,000 a year, which is huge, right? So those are just some of the scholarship options that we have here from Aurora University. And I think our next slide here ends up showing kind of the cost breakdown and how this really looks. So last year, our tuition cost was $25,960. And as you can tell from my previous slide, since most students receive on average around a $12,000 or $14,000 scholarship, about 50% of your cost is already cut, right? Just solely based on your scholarship. And then we still need to take other aspects into account, things like FAFSA, outside scholarships, additional talent-based scholarships, in order to bring your cost as low as possible. If you decide to stay on campus, and as Stacy mentioned, this is not mandatory, it's an option. But if you do decide to stay on campus, there's an additional cost of $11,690 for both your dorm room as well as your meal plan, right? Both of those things are included within that cost. So that kind of totaling tuition and room and board comes out to be $37,650. But keep in mind, that's just a sticker price. That is not something that you end up paying out of your own pocket, because again, we still need to consider your AU scholarship and any additional aid that you could potentially be receiving. I think on the next slide, we have a cost breakdown of a type of student here. So I think here on the left-hand side, we're able to see what the estimated cost is for Aurora University. And mind you, this is what we consider a direct cost. So in this situation, the student is a commuter, which is why you only see the cost of $25,960. As you can tell, they received the James E. Crimi Presidential Scholarship in the amount of $14,000. And then we have what's called the MAP grant and the Pell Grant, both of which are awarded based on your FAFSA, right? In this particular case, the student is receiving full MAP funding as well as full Pell funding, which again is money that is given from FAFSA in the form of grants. Grants is not money that you need to pay back, not like a loan. It's mainly money that's given to you based on your financial need. So if we add up your scholarship plus the MAP grant plus the Pell grant, we come out with a total amount of gift aid of $25,685. That applied to the cost gives us a balance of $275. So this is what I mean when I say that Aurora University is very accessible for many of our students. We're able to make sure that we keep our costs down. And as you can tell, even though we had that initial larger sticker price of $25,960, with all of the additional aid that's given to us in the form of scholarship and potential grants, we can certainly reduce our costs. Now, this situation is different for every single student, as the FAFSA is unique to your own financial situation. So we would really need to work with you on a case-by-case basis to understand what that final cost is going to be.
And I do want to say that I know this may seem scary to everyone, FAFSA. Some of you may have some familiarity with it, some of you may not. We're here to help you. I'm first generation college. No one in my family went to college. I was the first to go, and people were throwing crazy words out there like FAFSA and Pell and MAP, and I was like, what? And I had amazing counselors that were able to help me, and we can do the same thing for you. Now I can do the FAFSA with my eyes closed, right? So we are able to assist you. So do not be overwhelmed and don't be alarmed. We're here to help you.
Absolutely.
In regards to the value of an AU education, AU is so beyond committed to making sure that your bachelor's degree is going to be affordable, right? We don't want you to break the bank to get an education, right? We want you to go to school and succeed and not have to worry about debt and, breaking the bank and all that good stuff. The average debt of AU students that borrow money is 17% below the national average. And then more than 27% of students who graduate from Aurora University graduate without any student loan debt, which is pretty amazing. And again, we're here to help you. We're here to guide you and get you to be one of those success stories. All right, now it is my favorite part of presentations. You get to hear from our students, right? So you know Joel, you know me. We're not going to introduce ourselves, but I'm going to have our lovely students, our current AU Spartans, tell you a little bit about themselves. We have a couple questions brewing in the Q&A function here. So after our students introduce themselves, I want everyone who is in this group, right, to just ask for questions, and I will read them aloud to our panelists, and we'll get those questions answered. Allison, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so my name's Allison. I'm a junior here, and I'm a double major in political science and marketing. I have a French minor, and I'm a Spartan ambassador and a resident assistant on campus as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Donnie?
Yeah, so my name is Donnie. I am a senior criminal justice major with a minor in Homeland Security and Psychology. I'm a Spartan ambassador as well. And then today I just found out I was accepted to our +1 program for criminal.
All right. Awesome job, Donnie.
Donnie, that's awesome. That's awesome. Jada?
Hi guys, my name is Jada. I am a junior this year, majoring in early childhood special education with the ESL bilingual. I am also a Spartan ambassador here, and I'm very interested in being a part of our theater and music programs. If you have any questions about it, feel free to ask.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so we have a couple questions. I don't know which one I'm going to choose first. Okay, let's do, this one is going to be a question for Joel. Joel, what is the AU deadline, or the deadline for Aurora University? We touched on it, but just kind of reiterate it for us. Do we have a deadline? Do we not have a deadline?
That is a great question. So we do not have a set deadline on the application because, again, we are enrolling admissions, right? So you can submit your application at any point in time, certainly before the start of the school year, right? We would need to try to get that in, and but we are willing to work with you throughout the entire year. And as I mentioned before, there's no need to worry in terms of scholarship availability. You will still be considered for the same scholarship whether you end up applying now or in a couple of months. That being said, I encourage you to apply sooner rather than later, right? It'll help us getting things in order as far as your financial aid, your award letter that really breaks down the cost. So it just gives us more time to be able to work with you and service you with any sort of questions that you may have. But there's no specific admission deadline, just before the start of the term.
Awesome. So our next question is a perfect one for our students, right? So what kind of activities do we have at Aurora University? What does AU offer? What's fun to do? Allison, you want to touch on it? And then we'll go Allison, Donnie, Jada, if you guys want to add to it.
Yeah, there's always something going on campus. We have our Office of Student Activities, and they always have things planned, and also different clubs and organizations do things as well. One of my favorite things was we have like a Stuff a Critter, which is pretty much like Build-A-Bear. I know we're having another event this week where like you get to decorate like your pot for a succulent. So just little stuff like that. And then we also sometimes do trips to like Six Flags for like Fright Fest and stuff. So literally there's always something going on and something for everyone. So it's really cool.
Yeah, so she touched on a lot that were on campus. For the on-campus one, my favorite one was always pancake night. It's all you can eat breakfast at night till like 12. And I just love breakfast, and then pancakes at night always is the best. But as well as on campus, we also do have a lot to do around the campus as well, as what make our location so beautiful to me. I know my freshman, sophomore year, me and my roommate lived on campus together, and we would always walk around to the different little shops and things like that. So we have a location called Prisco's right down the street. They have the best gelato, in my opinion. If you've ever been to like downtown Aurora, there's a bunch to do down there, and some really great coffee shops if you don't already have a coffee addiction. So there's always cool things to do out there.
Awesome.
For me, Allison touched on making a little pot for a succulent. That is my favorite thing of all time. Even though I'm really bad with plants and watering succulents is probably the easiest thing to do, it's still really fun. Something I really like doing off campus, I know there is a theater called the Paramount Theater. Obviously, it's not open right now, but when it usually is, we do have a discount for students that only cost $10, and it's amazing, especially with how much it could possibly cost for a regular seat. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And I just want to add the one thing I loved when I was a student here was Hump Day, where we brought a camel to campus, like a legitimate camel that you could ride. We had that on our campus. I've never heard of that anywhere else. So I think that was my favorite activity. So just to kind of touch on that point. Okay, so I think this is a great question for Jada, right? This is in regards to music and theater scholarships, and more so just the music and theater program. So Jada, do you want to touch maybe on your experiences in choir, and then Joel can touch a little bit about the process to get a music theater scholarship?
Yeah, so for my experience before coming into Aurora University, I've only taken choir for like 3.5 years, and I was only part of the theater program for about 2 years. And I love being in the plays and the musicals and the student productions. It's just a great feel of everyone feeling like a family. And a little disclaimer, I am in the fall play this year, which is Sonnets of a New Century. So that's really fun. We're going to have it kind of broadcasted everywhere, or even possibly in person with our fingers crossed. But that is something that I really like about the music and theater program.
Awesome. And then Joel, you want to touch on the process?
Absolutely. So as far as scholarships themselves, for both music and theater, we do have a scholarship packet that a student ends up working through. So what you would just need to do is go to aurora.edu/music or aurora.edu/theater, or simply just reach out to your admissions counselor, and we would be able to provide that information for you. I do see in the question here, I think it's from Nwani, you ended up taking 4 years of choir and then ended up taking a pause, and you're wondering if you could still apply for that scholarship, and the answer is absolutely yes. You're still able to apply for these scholarships, but just like every other student, you just need to go through an audition itself, right? And once we see that audition, we would then be able to, award that scholarship appropriately.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we have another question. Are letters of recommendation required? If so, how many? Are counselor recommendations required? And then I think I'm going to build off of that in terms of activities in high school, student organization participation, things like that. So Joel, do you want to talk about that? And then
Absolutely.
Maybe my students here, you can just generally talk about your experience in terms of the application process for AU. So Joel, I want you to go first, and then we'll have our students go.
Yeah, of course. So are they required? It's not a requirement for admission, but I would recommend them if possible, right? It really helps us gain a better understanding of you as a student. And so always hearing a perspective from either a guidance counselor, a teacher, especially if you're kind of, teetering on the edge of being admitted, could help us get that better understanding. So, if your academics are phenomenal and they kind of speak for themselves, we may not need that additional letter of recommendation. But, if you're feeling a little bit iffy about it, I would say just play it safe and turn it in. But no, they are not specifically required for your admission.
Awesome. And then any of my students, do you want to touch a little bit about your admission process, maybe how easy it was or anything of that sort?
Yeah, so for me, I had no problems when it came to applying for AU. I don't think I turned in any letters of recommendation at the time. I can say I had my admissions counselor, Taylor, at the time, and she was amazing, and she ended up getting me this job right now. So the counselors really do care about you and see you as a person, and they're always willing to help you kind of find scholarships, whatever it may be, to make the process as easy as possible for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, going off of what Donnie said, I definitely recommend to like speak with your counselor and stuff. Vula was actually my counselor and she helped me out a lot. And I always had a whole bunch of questions for her, so that definitely helped.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit. So with the application process, it only took like me to actually do the application for like 15 minutes. It wasn't too bad, wasn't a pain or anything, so that was really nice. And for like with financial aid, again, I had Vula as my admission counselor, so that was awesome for helping me with all of that. So they are a big help in that process.
Absolutely. Yeah, so as you guys can tell, I mean, the counseling staff here is very much an ally with you throughout this entire process, right? So your admissions counselor is going to be your point person with any sort of questions that you may have, whether that would be your cost, if it's way too high and you're really looking to understand how to receive more scholarships, you know, counselors are going to be able to help you do that. If you are on the fence of either, you know, your GPA may be a little bit lower than what we need it to be, but, you know, there's a reason behind that. You know, I do ask that you speak to your counselor, because once we understand the reasoning behind everything, we can make a better, you know, assessment. We certainly want you to be part of our community, right? If this is what you're looking to do. So, you know, communication, open communication, I think is key for us. Yes.
And to build off of that question too, although you're probably not thinking about it now, like the size of AU, when you are going into your senior year, you want those letters of recommendation for your future career. And because the professors here get to know you so well, they add little details about you into the actual letters that when you read it, you almost want to cry. So they really do care about you as a student here, which is what I really found awesome.
Awesome. Megan, are we running out of time?
You have just another minute, so if we want to take any last minute questions, but know that just any last minute questions if you want to speak on anything, or if you want to give a summary, Bula, and maybe why the student ambassadors chose AU. I think that'll be a great roundabout.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. So our student ambassadors, take a moment and just sum it up why you chose Aurora University, and we'll end it there. Allison, you want to go first?
Yeah, so I was set on going to a bigger university out of state, but then I came here, and it was actually Vula who really made me want to come here and stuff. She really helped me out, and it just really felt like home. And I know that's really cheesy to say, but it's just a really great atmosphere and stuff, so that's what made me choose AU.
Awesome. Donnie?
Yeah, so I visited AU because my buddy actually convinced me to come see it. He was a football player here. And right once I stepped on campus, I pretty much fell in love. That feeling of home Allison talked about, it is just overwhelming here at AU. And then the day of my tour, I met with my faculty for about 2 hours just talking about fishing, my career, a bunch of random things. So the faculty really do, like I said, care about you.
Jada?
For me, the reason why I picked AU is I had my admission counselor come to my high school and kind of just talk about the university. Vula was so bubbly and just so inviting. She even spoke a little Greek for us, and it was super fun. And that made me really want to adventure out to Aurora University, and I found where I am able to do my major and have a small community to call family.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, I'm going to go to the next slide, which is just next steps. Take a look here, everyone. I know we don't have enough time to go through it, but here are your next steps for Aurora University. You're able to call us and text us and email us, and we are definitely going to be able to help you. Thank you so much for listening to us and taking some time during this evening to join us in this presentation. I had a couple questions. I'll try to answer them as best I can in this chat feature, but we will have another one of these on October 7th. So if you haven't gotten enough of AU, join us then and we'll be able to help you. Thank you.
Great, thank you everyone. So for the attendees, the recording will be made available at a later date, but know that you can absolutely reach out to Bula or Joel to have any questions, or your other admission counselor that you have once you've applied. But thank you so much and have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.